There's a rumor going around. If you like this video and subscribe, you will learn Requip magic. Hi guys, this is the next part of What if Itachi Uchiha was reincarnated in the world of fairy tale. I hope you enjoy. Itachi focused most of his energy into the Yata mirror as he was blocking the Etherian blast from striking. Oni-chan, Urza muttered in awe. Itachi gritted his teeth as he was sweating slightly. And no, Jalal gritted his teeth in anger as he saw Itachi smirk at him. Your dream comes to an end, Itachi said as the Etherian blast bounced off the shield and into the night sky. The light shined brightly as shockwaves from the blast was sent across the area, creating waves in the ocean, almost knocking the boat with the others over, if Jubia had not surrounded them in a water dome. With the Magic Council, the Etherian has struck the target. Confirm destruction of the tower ASAP. A frog creature said, clearing the image. Another frog creature said as the Magic Council members waited for the result. The blast bounced right off. A frog creature shouted as the image revealed the tower with the Etherian blast bouncing off to the side. Zoom in on the image. They zoomed in and saw Jalal, Urza and Itachi with his Susanoo blocking the blast. That's the demon eyes of fairy tale, Itachi Uchiha, Yujima said. What's he doing? A council member questioned. Seagrain clenched his fist as his eyes widened in rage. Damn it. Back with Itachi, damn you. Jalal shouted. He tried punching Itachi, who dodged it by tilting his head to the side. Itachi kneed Jalal in the gut. Jalal, Urza questioned in confusion. I heard your conversation earlier. And I could easily tell that you were lying. I'm an expert on that subject myself. Ever since you announced the Etherian blast, I realized that something was wrong. So I studied the structure of the tower and then I understood. You were planning to use the Etherian blast as a source for the magic power required for the R system. Then you were planning on sacrificing Urza. Am I wrong? Itachi asked as he narrowed his eyes at Jalal. Jalal gritted his teeth, then he began to chuckle with a small grin on his face. The rumors of your intellect are true after all, Jalal then clenched his fist. You really are damned annoying. Jalal shouted. Why you tricked me, Urza said as she stared at Jalal in anger. You were adorable, Urza. Jalal couldn't harness his true strength, he was in serious danger, so fooling you was his only option. A voice that sounded like Jalal was heard. I was wondering when you would show up, Seagrain. Itachi said as he didn't even bother to face Seagrain and instead focused on Jalal. Seagrain, Urza said as Seagrain walked past them and towards Jalal. Why are you here? I'm reminded of when we first met, Urza. Seagrain said and walked to stand next to Jalal. When she and Makarov went to the council to submit a written apology. Jalal said, she mistook me for you and attacked me. Well, we do look alike. I can't blame her. You only let up after I told you we were twins. But you were still hostile towards me. Seagrain said, of course, I was. You silently approved of what Jalal was trying to do, even though you were his older brother. And you spied on me, to top it all off. Urza said, yes. Jalal commented, that was a big mistake on my part. I should have said, I will find Jalal and stop him, instead. But my biggest miscalculation was running into you after I had finally managed to join the council. Seagrain said, there's nothing worse than having to come up with excuses on the spot. Jalal said, so you two were colluding after all. Urza said, no, it's more like they're the same person. Itachi said, making both Jalal and Seagrain widen their eyes in shock. Seagrain began to look transparent. How did you know? Jalal and Seagrain questioned in unison. My first clue was from the very beginning, the fact that Jalal had a twin brother, and despite his close relationship to Urza, the subject never once came up. My second clue was recently the fact that you had such knowledge on the council's operations. Of course it could just mean you were working together. But my final clue came here, the way the two of you carry yourselves, talk, even expressions. Even though you're twins, those very things should have been different. Yet you share the same thought, body structure, and not to mention your energy signature is completely similar. Itachi said as his Sharingan was spinning. It became obvious to me eventually. Seagrain then merged with Jalal, letting out a glow. Nothing seems to escape your eyes. Jalal said with an annoyed expression. Then you were responsible for the Etherian attack? Urza questioned. That, and he sneaked into the council for the very purpose of this day. But that plan failed, Itachi said with a smirk. Did you enjoy your temporary freedom, Urza? My plans may have failed, but none of you are leaving this tower alive. Jalal declared. Just how many people have you lied to come this far in life? Urza clenched her fist in anger. Energy. My magic energy has returned. Jalal said as he began to glow. Why you? Urza was about to charge but was stopped by Itachi, who put his arm in front of her. I will bring an end to Urza's nightmare once and for all, Itachi said as he stared Jalal down. Jalal took off his coat and cracked his knuckles. You will pay for destroying my dream. If anything, I'm putting an end to your curse. Itachi said. The demon eyes of fairy tale, Itachi Uchiha. I had hoped that one day I would get a taste of your power before destroying you with my own 2 hands. Jalal declared and went into a stance. Heavenly body magic. Pleiades. 6 yellow rays then rained down from the sky towards Itachi. Itachi then performed a set of hand signs. Fire style. Dragon flame bomb. Itachi belted out 6 large waves of flame that took the shape of dragon heads. They clashed with the 6 rays and exploded in midair, making it look like fireworks. Heavenly body magic. Meteor. Jalal surrounded himself in a golden glow and began moving around the area at incredible speed. Jalal flew around Itachi, bouncing from the walls. You will never land an attack on me. Jalal said as he was flying towards Itachi, ready to shoulder charge him. Itachi quickly ducked and kicked Jalal in the gut, making him cough up blood mixed with saliva. Itachi then delivered another kick to his chin, sending Jalal crashing into a wall. You were saying? Itachi asked. Jalal leapt out from the rubble, charging at Itachi with full speed. Jalal began to throw several punches, but to Jalal's surprise Itachi was able to keep up with his speed, blocking every punch. You're slow, Itachi commented and punched Jalal directly in the face. Jalal then leapt back and began to increase his speed. Let's see how you deal with this speed. Jalal threw a punch. Itachi quickly caught Jalal's fist and threw him to the side. Jalal then blasted a golden ray towards Itachi, who caught it with his hand. But the impact was strong enough to send him back a few steps. In result, Itachi's clothes were slightly torn and he had a few bruises and burn marks on his hands. Itachi brought out a few kunais from his pocket, each of them with a paper bomb tag attached to them. He threw them in different directions. Hey, and I thought you were skilled at using those little ninja knives. Jalal mocked. Itachi just smirked and threw 2 more that clashed into the other 2. The knives bounced to the side, hitting 2 more, then bounced into another direction, hitting them. Suddenly they were all flying directly towards Jalal, who widened his eyes as the paper tags began to burn. Jalal quickly leapt away with his increased speed as the tags violently exploded when they hit the wall where Jalal once stood. They are one of my specialties actually, Itachi said as he was now behind Jalal. Jalal quickly swung his arm at Itachi, who turned into a pack of crows. But I have other talents as well, Itachi said as the crows flew in front of Jalal, formed back into Itachi. Jalal then smirked as he vanished in a flash and appeared behind Itachi, kicking him in the back, sending him flying, crashing into a wall. Jalal then flew into the air. May the 7 stars bring judgment upon you. Jalal placed both his arms on top of each other, as 7 magic seals formed in front of him in the shape of a star constellation. 7-star sword, grand chariot. 7 rays were sent from the seals as they hit the floor, forming the same pattern as in the sky. The floor Itachi and Urza were on then exploded. Itachi and Urza fell down to the next floor of the tower with a few bruises on his face, while Urza was knocked unconscious. That spell has as much energy as a meteor strike. I'm impressed your body is still intact. Maybe I should have used more power. I have no use for this tower anymore after all, Jalal said as he clenched his fist in anger. Itachi stood up and spat out blood. His clothes were torn and he had a trail of blood flowing out of his mouth. Maybe I shouldn't hold back against you after all. Jalal surrounded his body in a golden glow. Likewise, I'll put an instant end to you. You will regret defying me on your way to hell. I have a lot to answer for in the afterlife, and I will have some regrets, but defying you won't be one of them, Itachi said as he directed his right arm towards Jalal with his middle finger and index finger sticking out. Itachi formed a magic circle in front of him, releasing 5 golden rays. Take this. 5 element dragons. Itachi formed 5 magic circles around him and out of them came 5 Chinese dragons. The dragons clashed with the rays. Itachi then quickly formed a few hand signs. Fire style. Fireball. Itachi blew out a large ball of fire that crashed into Jalal, sending him crashing into the wall, leaving a crater. Itachi threw a kunai with a paper bomb tag attached to it. The knife stabbed into the wall next to Jalal's face. Jalal quickly reacted and leapt away before it exploded. Damn you. Jalal formed several magic circles releasing several golden rays directed at Itachi. Itachi quickly ran to the side as the rays crashed around him. Itachi then leapt in front of Jalal, who quickly blasted him with a yellow orb of energy. Itachi was sent back as he suddenly vanished in a pack of crows. Itachi then appeared behind Jalal, grabbing him by the collar of his shirt and threw him into the wall. "Just give up, your plan has failed," Itachi said. "Damn you," Jalal shouted as he tried to punch Itachi, but suddenly Itachi vanished like a ghost. Itachi was everywhere surrounding Jalal, with swords appearing out nowhere. All the Itachis grabbed a sword each and leapt towards Jalal, stabbing him. "Arg! Gargh! Ah!" Jalal screamed in pain for each stab. Suddenly Jalal was on his knees shaking and sweating, having felt something he hadn't felt in a while: fear. "That was one of my illusions. Face it, you can't beat me," Itachi said. Jalal stared at Itachi in anger as he stood up and veins appeared on his neck. "I spent 8 long years constructing this tower, 8 years of planning, and now you've gone in," Jalal said as Itachi stared at him emotionlessly. "You will pay," Jalal shouted as he gathered his hands above his head, gathering a lot of magic power. "Dark magic," Itachi muttered as the wind around them began to blow immensely. "The shadows are starting to bend towards the light. Oh no. This magic," Urza said. "Prepare to plummet into infinite darkness, demon eyes," Jalal said as a dark orb began to form above him. "Jalal," Urza said and stepped in front of Itachi, making Jalal hesitate for a second. Jalal then smirked. "You think I care if you die anymore? The R system couldn't be completed. Meaning my plan is ruined, meaning I don't need you. Both of you shall be obliterated," Jalal declared as the orb continued to increase in size. Itachi appeared now in front of Urza, activating the Susan, placing the shield in front of them. "It's a big brother's job, to protect his younger sibling," Itachi said, but then a stabbing pain was felt in his chest. The Susanoo began to vanish as Itachi fell to his knees and began coughing. "Oni-chan," Urza quickly went to Itachi's side. "What's wrong?" Urza questioned when suddenly Itachi coughed up blood staining the floor. "Heavenly body spell. Alteris." Jalal threw the orb towards Itachi and Urza. "Damn it," Itachi cursed as the Susanoo vanished. When the orb was about to hit them, Simon jumped in front of them with a magic circle in front of him. Everyone else widened their eyes in shock when the orb exploded. When the smoke cleared, it revealed Simon, who had several bruises on his body as he still stood in a defensive position in front of Itachi and Urza. "Why you? I told you to leave," Itachi said as he was clenching his hand over his chest. "Simon," Urza questioned as images of how Rob protected her appeared in her mind. "Urza," Simon muttered as he fell down. "Simon." Urza quickly ran over to her fallen friend as Itachi also stood up and slowly walked over to them. "You were still crawling around here, you little pest," Jalal said. "Why didn't you escape, Simon?" Urza said as she looked on her friend while holding his body in her arms. I'm glad. I always wanted to be helpful to you, someday," Simon said as he began to cough. "I understand. Just don't talk anymore," Urza said as tears slowly began to form in her eyes. "You were always so kind," Simon muttered as he was slowly dying. "Simon, Simon," Urza shouted as Simon looked at her as images of a young Urza saying his name appeared in his mind. Simon looked at Urza as a trail of tears fell from his eyes. "I loved you," Simon muttered as he closed his eyes and died with a smile on his face. Itachi stared at Urza and Simon's body with wide eyes as tears ran down Urza's face. "No," Urza screamed and cried over Simon's dead body. "Why didn't you let me take the hit?" Itachi said in a whisper tone as he clenched his fist. "I'm dying anyway." Jalal began to laugh. "Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. That was the very definition of dying for nothing, Simon. This doesn't change anything. No one is going to leave here alive," Jalal shouted. It wasn't normal for Itachi to get angry, but between Jalal laughing at Simon's sacrifice as nothing, and Urza crying, he had enough. Itachi's body was shaking as he clenched his fist so hard that blood dripped from it. "Don't look down on a person's life," Itachi shouted and punched Jalal across the face, sending him crashing into a wall. "Now you've done it," Itachi said as veins appeared on his forehead. Itachi leapt at Jalal and kicked him in the face. Itachi then elbowed Jalal in the gut. Itachi then grabbed Jalal by the throat and pushed him into the floor, creating a crater, causing Jalal to cough up blood. "I will not lose," Jalal said and surrounded himself in a yellow glow. Meteor. Jalal vanished and then appeared behind Itachi with his fist raised. Lightning then flickered around Itachi. Chidori rotation. Itachi spun around as Jalal was electrocuted by the wave of lightning. Arg! Jalal screamed in pain. Jalal quickly leapt up, flying in the air. Itachi then leapt from the ground and appeared in front of Jalal. Itachi then delivered an uppercut to Jalal's jaw, sending him further up. Impossible. I cannot be defeated, Jalal shouted as Itachi kicked him up further and further until they were on the top of the tower. I am destined to create a land of freedom. Amid the pain and terror, Zirf whispered to me. He asked if I wanted true freedom. That's right, only I can feel Zirf. I am the chosen one. Together, Zirf and I shall create a land of true freedom, Jalal declared as he kept flying upwards and sending yellow rays of energy at Itachi, who dodged them all. Fire style. Dragon flame bomb. Itachi spat out multiple fire balls in the shape of a dragon's head. They all flew past Jalal and into the sky. I will destroy all of you, Jalal said as he formed a large magic circle in front of him. Abyss break. Are you planning to destroy the tower and everyone in it? Urza questioned. I'll just spend 8 years creating another. No, this one will take 5. Zirf, your time shall come, Jalal declared when suddenly Itachi vanished in a vortex. A vortex appeared in front of Jalal and out came Itachi, who kicked Jalal in the gut, sending him further up in the air, as the magic circle vanished. You want freedom? Fine, I will free you from that ghost, Itachi shouted as he formed a blue orb in his hand and thunder clouds formed in the sky above them. Itachi was now above Jalal, as a large dragon made out of lightning appeared in the sky. The dragon then merged with the blue Rasengan orb in Itachi's hand, as so much lightning flickered around it, it almost covered the sky. Jalal stared in awe as he widened his eyes. Itachi then charged at Jalal, pushing the orb with all the lightning flickering around it into Jalal's gut. Rage of the Thunder God. Itachi pushed Jalal down the tower, as they both went crashing all the way down to the bottom of the tower, as streams of lightning erupted all around the tower. Meanwhile, with the others in the water dome. What in the world? Gray questioned as the tower looked like it was about to collapse. What's going on? Wally questioned. That has to be Itachi, Natsu said. Yeah, I think so too, Lucy said. But are they going to be okay? Miliana questioned. I'd like to think so, but he's really going on a rampage, that's so unlike him, Gray said. Back in the tower, Itachi kept pushing Jalal, who was covered in bruises and scorch marks. Itachi kept pushing Jalal into the ground as the ground beneath them began to crack and water began to come in. Urza quickly leapt down after them. Oni-chan, Urza shouted as she was 1 floor above them, looking into the hole that Itachi crashed Jalal through. Suddenly the ground beneath Jalal collapsed as him and Itachi fell into the ocean depths. Oni-chan, Urza shouted as the entire tower collapsed and Urza leapt after them. Itachi still had his hand placed on Jalal's gut as they went deeper into the ocean. Jalal muttered a few words, making Itachi widen his eyes as his Sharingan read his lips. Itachi let go of Jalal. Suddenly someone grabbed Itachi by the collar. Itachi looked and saw Urza grabbing a hold of him and swimming up to the surface as rubble of the tower fell around them. Itachi looked back at Jalal, who slowly vanished into the darkness of the ocean. Urza and Itachi both popped up their heads over the water surface, inhaling deeply. Oni-chan, you okay? Urza asked. Yeah, I'm fine, Itachi replied as he saw the rest of the tower sinking. He suddenly felt Urza hug him as tears ran down her eyes. Thank you, Urza said as tears of happiness fell from her eyes. Itachi returned the hug. I'm sorry, Urza. For what? Urza questioned. For Simon, Itachi replied. Urza, Itachi said. He saved us, Urza said as her bangs were covering her eyes. I know, but maybe I could have saved him, Itachi muttered as he and Urza continued to float on the water. There is no use thinking about what we could have done, Urza said as tears of sadness began to fall from her eyes, even her artificial eye. Hey, sounds like something I would have said, Itachi said with a weak chuckle. Oni-chan, back there you coughed up blood, why? Urza questioned, looking worried. Can we talk about it later, maybe when we're back at the Guildhall? Itachi said as he began realizing that his secret was almost out in the open. Might as well tell them all, Itachi thought. Itachi, Urza. Gray's voice was heard. Urza and Itachi turned towards the source and saw a water dome with the others coming towards them. Gray stretched his hand out and Urza grabbed it and was pulled into the water dome. Gray then grabbed Itachi and pulled him into the water dome. I've got to say, Itachi, I was expecting you to beat him. But this is going a little overboard for you. Gray said as they all looked at the tower that sank down to the bottom of the ocean. Itachi didn't respond. Hey, where's Simon? Sho questioned. Quote. Urza couldn't say a word. He's dead. Jalal killed him. Itachi replied sadly. Everyone widened their eyes in shock. Simon is dead, Miliana muttered as tears fell from her eyes. See Simon, Wally muttered. It can't be, Sho said. He gave his life to save me and Urza, Itachi said as the mood turned dark. What happened to Jalal? Gray asked. Oni-chan beat him. Last time I saw him he was vanishing into the bottom of the ocean. Urza replied. Well, finally he has some peace, Itachi said. What do you mean? Natsu asked. He was apparently possessed by the ghost of Zirf, and I think when I beat him I set him free. Itachi replied. How can you know that? Lucy asked. With my eyes, I can see what someone is saying by reading the movement of their lips. When we were at the bottom of the ocean Jalal muttered some words. Itachi replied. What did he say? Oni-chan, what did he say? Urza asked. Itachi looked at all of them. He said, thank you. Nothing more, nothing less. Itachi replied. Later at the hotel, next morning Natsu was in his bed with a few bandages wrapped around his body as he was snoring. Seriously, how long is he going to sleep? Gray asked as he sat with Urza, Lucy, Itachi and Happy. Out of all of them Urza was the one who was covered in bandages, as Itachi had some wrapped around his waist and hands. Well, he wasn't able to sleep for a whole day during all the Tower of Heaven mess, guess his body just needs some rest. Itachi said. Still we didn't sleep for 3 days straight, unlike the idiot flame brain over there. Gray said. When Gray said that last remark Natsu instantly woke up. What was that Gray? He's awake. Happy said with a sweat drop, and then Natsu fell asleep again. He's asleep. Don't wake up if you don't want to pick a fight. Gray shouted in frustration. I caused you all much trouble during this latest incident, Urza said. You've said that so many times already, Lucy said, as for them everything was all right now. Come to think of it, where's that girl? Urza asked referring to Juvia. Oh, Juvia, she already headed back, said something about wanting to join Fairy Tail as soon as possible. Gray replied. I see, Urza muttered. Later on Urza went to meet Sho and the others down by the beach. I'm sorry, Urza, Wally and Miliana said. No, I should apologize to you. I wasn't able to do anything for those 8 years. I'm truly sorry, Urza said as she felt ashamed for being unable to help them sooner. It isn't your fault, Nei-san. Sho argued. If only I had done something sooner, Simon would still be, Urza said. Simon was a true man, you know. He wanted to protect you. He always loved, Wally said. Wally. Miliana stopped Wally from saying anything else. I know his feelings very well as the feelings of everyone left behind. But we have to keep moving forward, towards the future Simon left us. Urza said as they all let out a weak smile. You can always come to Fairy Tail if you don't have anywhere to go. Urza suggested, making them all widen their eyes in shock. Us? Miliana questioned. It might not be the same freedom you were seeking, but, Urza said. Come to think of it, the Salamander said something like that too. Wally said. A full of life guild. Miliana cheered. Plus, I'd like to always be with you guys, now let's get going. I still need to properly introduce you all to the others. Urza said as they all went on to have a feast and a party. Later Itachi stood outside of the balcony looking up in the night sky. Maybe it's time I let them all know, Itachi thought as he clenched his chest. It's not like I can keep it a secret for much longer. I even used that much power against Jalal. I think I might have used around 40% of my power. I can feel my body's getting weaker, I even feel tired, Itachi thought. Then suddenly the door to his room slammed open with Urza standing there. Oni-chan, have you seen Sho and the others? I haven't seen them since that party. Why do you ask? Itachi questioned. I can't find them anywhere. Urza said. I see, I think you know what this means. Itachi asked. Yes, Urza muttered. I will go tell Natsu and the others to get the fireworks ready. Urza said and walked out of the room. I'll be right there, Itachi said and looked at the stars one more time. It's time I let them all know about the sickness. Itachi thought before he jumped down from the balcony. Meanwhile at the beach, you could see the hotel on the other side, where Sho, Wally and Miliana pushing a boat into the water. Can we really make a life for ourselves in the outside world? Wally questioned. We have to. We can't burden Nei-san anymore. Sho said. There you are. Urza's voice was heard as they all turned to the source to face her. Nay-san, Sho said. We grew up inside the tower. There's so much we don't understand and feel unsure about, so we want to see this outside world for ourselves. We don't want to live our lives dependent on others anymore, or live our lives for someone else anymore. We want to live for ourselves now and discover our dreams on our own. That's the freedom we seek. Sho declared. With that much determination, I'm sure you can do anything. I feel relieved now, Urza said as she re-equipped into her farewell fairy tale armor. But there are 3 rules people who leave fairy tale must abide by. Listen well. Hold on. Leave. We haven't even joined. Wally said. 1. You must never reveal information detrimental to fairy tale for as long as you live. 2. You must never make unauthorized contact with past clients for personal gain. 3. Even if our paths stray, you must live your lives to the fullest. You must never consider your lives insignificant. Urza said, bringing tears to Sho, Wally and Miliana's eyes as well as her own. You must never forget the friends you loved for as long as you live. Let the fairy tale farewell ceremony begin. Yeah, Itachi, Natsu, Gray, Lucy and Happy said in unison. Natsu and Itachi blew out balls of flames that exploded in the air, making fireworks. May the flowers of light blossom in your hearts, Urza said as Gray shot up a wave of ice that exploded in the air, making it look like fireworks. Lucy swung around one of her celestial keys and shot up a wave of celestial magic that exploded in a golden light in the air. I truly wish we could all stay together. But, if that would only unfetter you, then I wish you luck on your journeys, Urza said as Sho and the others floated away in their boat. It's just the opposite, Urzi, Miliana cried. If we stay here, you'll always be reminded of painful memories. Wally cried. I'll never forget you, wherever you are. Besides, painful memories strengthen us by acting as seeds for tomorrow. People have that power within them. Walk tall. I will continue to do so as well. As long as we remember this day, I know we'll meet again. Take care, Urza said as tears ran down her eyes. You too, Nay-san, Sho cried. Bye-bye, Urzi, Miliana waved as tears ran down her eyes. We will meet again someday. It's a promise, Wally cried. It's a promise, Urza said as she watched her friends sail away into the open sea. Later in Magnolia, Itachi, Urza, Natsu, Gray, Lucy and Happy stood and stared in awe at the new guildhall, which now looked more like a castle. Wow, Lucy said. This is a surprise, Urza said. They finished it, Natsu and Happy said in unison. The new fairy tale, Gray said. Think they went a little overboard, Itachi said. When they walked in through the gate, they saw several tables outside with their guildmates sitting there and drinking or eating. Is this an open-air cafe? Gray questioned as they even saw a merchandise shop. When they walked inside the guildhall, they saw a large stage at the end of the room. Oh, so pretty, Happy and Lucy said in unison. Yes, splendid indeed, Urza said. Gray turned to Natsu, who looked a little depressed. What's with you, Natsu? It's different than before, Natsu replied. Lu-chan, welcome back, Levi welcomed. Oh, Levi, Lucy said. Amazing, isn't it? You'll never believe it, there's a pool behind the bar, Levi said as they saw a pool with their fellow guild mates such as Jet, Droy and many others. Welcome back, Romeo said. Why a pool? Lucy questioned. It's not the same, Natsu complained. There's also a recreation hall down below, Levi said as they went down and saw Macau, Wakaba and Ritas playing games like darts and other things. Yo, Macau welcomed. Oh, you're back, Wakaba said. This is so overwhelming, Lucy said. It's not the same, Natsu complained. They were now back in the main hall. And the biggest change is upstairs. Everyone is allowed in the second floor now, Levi said as Elfman walked by, on the second floor and saluted them. You still need to have an S-class wizard with you to go on S-class quest, of course. Oh, you dunderheads are back, Makarov greeted them. Master, Urza said. They all then stared at Juvia, who was standing next to the master. This is our newest member, Juvia. Isn't she a cutie? Makarov said as Juvia now a different outfit from before. This outfit was more revealing than the last one, and she had even cut her hair shorter. It's a pleasure to work with you, Juvia said. You actually joined, Gray said with a friendly chuckle. Thank you for your help in Akane, Urza thanked. This is all thanks to you. Juvia will do her very best, Juvia said with a big smile. Good to have you on board, Lucy said. Juvia then returned to her yandere state. Romantic rival. It's not like that, Lucy said with a sweat drop. And there's one other new member. Come on, say hello. Makarov looking to the side. There's another. Happy questioned as they all looked over in the same direction as Makarov. Huh, Lucy questioned in shock. Whoa, you can't be serious. Gray said as they spotted none other than Gajeel. Gajeel, Natsu said and was ready to fight. What is he doing here? Gray questioned. Wait, Juvia brought him here. Juvia said. Juvia aside, he's the one responsible for destroying our guild. Urza said looking at Gajeel with an angry expression. Now, as they say, yesterday's enemy is today's friend. Makarov said. Yeah, it doesn't bother me at all, Levy said. Screw this. I can't work with this guy. Natsu said and went over to Gajeel and slammed his hand on the table. Don't worry, I don't plan to be your buddy. Gajeel said making Natsu feel offended. All I want is work. It disgusts me that I ended up working at the guild I can stand the least. Gajeel said as he stood up and had a stare down with Natsu. What? Natsu questioned. Gajeel is always alone, so Juvia couldn't turn her back on him. Oh, I don't like him or anything, though. Juvia said looking at Gray while sweating nervously. It is the duty of an old soldier to lead a stray youngster onto the right path. He's a nice guy at heart, I'd like to believe. Makarov said. If that's your decision, master, then I will comply. However, I think it would be wise to keep a close eye on him. Urza said. Yes. Makarov agreed when suddenly Itachi walked up to Gajeel and Natsu and went between them. Itachi then turned to face Gajeel who looked at him in confusion. Itachi stretched his hand out and smiled. Welcome to Fairy Tail, Itachi said shocking Natsu, Gray, Lucy and Urza. What are you doing? He's the one who destroyed our guild. Natsu shouted. It's just a building, it's fine. Itachi argued. Why you can't be serious? Gajeel questioned as he looked confused at Itachi. I'm just welcoming you. Even though you were an enemy before, it doesn't change the fact that you're one of us now. Itachi said still with his hand stretched out. Gajeel looked at Itachi's hand, then his face. Gajeel then shook Itachi's hand. Yeah, thanks I guess. Are you really sure about this? Gray asked Itachi. It's not like it's impossible for people to change. Itachi replied. This new place just doesn't feel right to me. Natsu pouted when suddenly the lights turned off and a light appeared on the stage revealing Mira Jane who was holding a guitar. Mira, Itachi questioned as he went closer to the stage. Welcome back. Mira welcomed. Okay, this song is in celebration of Ichi and friends' safe return in our newly constructed building. Mira said as everyone cheered. Mira then began to sing, which made Itachi widen his eyes. Beautiful, Itachi thought at hearing the sound of Mira singing, as he stood frozen watching the stage closely. It was like everyone else besides him and her vanished for a second. When the song was over, Itachi was brought back to reality by everyone cheering. Amazing. Who's next? Macau questioned as the stage light turned on revealing Gajeel in a white suit with a matching hat, and dark sunglasses making everyone in the room pale. This is a little ditty I wrote called, Best Friend. Give it a listen. Gajeel said ignoring the fact that people were throwing garbage at the stage. Like hell we will. And what's with the fancy suit? Gajeel ignored them and began to sing. And the song was, interesting to say the least. Several people paled in surprise but eventually some of them began to cheer. I've never heard a song this bad in my life. Natsu said when suddenly Gajeel threw his guitar in Natsu's face. You want a piece of me? Natsu shouted. They then charged at each other and Gajeel kept singing. What do you think you're doing? Natsu questioned as they were fighting in a cloud of smoke while Gajeel just kept singing. Quit screwing around, Natsu. Gray shouted as he stood up and tilted Urza a little making her drop her strawberry cake. My, strawberry cake, Urza muttered while staring at her fallen cake. Itachi saw this and sweat dropped. Oh, no, Itachi thought it got even worse as Elfman without knowing stepped on the cake. Quit your shrieking if you consider yourselves real men. Elfman shouted. Shut up. Urza kicked Elfman sending him flying across the room. As a large battle began. Itachi, can you do something? Makarov asked. Itachi. Makarov questioned and looked at the Uchiha who was lost in his own world. Mira sure has an amazing singing voice, Itachi thought. Itachi. Makarov shouted breaking Itachi out from his train of thought. Sorry master, what is it? Itachi asked and then looked around. Oh, later. What did you call me out here for? I was just about to start work too, Gajeel said as he stood face to face with Jet, Droy and Levi who were hiding behind a tree. Work? Jet questioned. Don't be stupid, you're the one who demolished our guild. Droy said. You guys are petty, alright. Gajeel said. I don't think we should do this. I don't care about what happened at all anymore, Levi said. We have to show him, Jet said. Who's boss? Droy finished as Gajeel just smirked. That's right, act tough while you still can, Jet said as he sprinted at Gajeel's shoulder, charging him in the chin. Droy then threw some plant seeds, and plants with fists popped out and began pounding Gajeel. Knuckle plant. Falcon soar. Jet charged at Gajeel in high speed and kicked him in the gut, sending Gajeel back. Gajeel looked at them with bruises on his body. Come on, Jet said. What's you deal? Droy questioned. What kind of harassment is this? A new voice was heard. They all turned to the source and saw Laxus. Laxus? Jet questioned. Laxus looked at Gajeel. So this is the kid who picked a fight with my guild, huh? I'm guessing the old geezer only let you join to keep you from wrecking it again, right? That's exactly why everyone mocks us, you piece of crap, Laxus said as veins appeared on his neck. On my way to this town, I heard things in pubs everywhere that pissed me off. Fairy Tail ain't so great. Those losers are done for, Laxus said as lightning flickered around him. Gajeel was electrocuted by a wave of lightning. It's because of you. Laxus punched the ground as a wave of lightning came flying towards Gajeel while tearing the ground apart. Stop, Laxus, you're going too far, Jet said. I knew Laxus was strong and all, but this is way too one-sided. Droy said. Don't tell me Gajeel never intended to, Jet said as he began realizing it. He wants to win our acceptance by enduring this without fighting back, Levi said. Laxus then began stomping on Gajeel's head. I'm gonna teach you what happens to people who defy Fairy Tail. Stop, Laxus. That's enough, Jet said. You stay out of this, small fry. Laxus sent a wave of lightning towards them that was about to hit Levi, when Gajeel suddenly stepped in front of her, blocking it with his arm that had turned into an iron club, that now had a large burn mark on it. Gajeel, Levi said. Is that enough for you? I have work to do. Gajeel walked away while shaking slightly. Levi uttered. Just let me be, Gajeel said and walked away. Laxus punched another wave of lightning towards Gajeel. But then Itachi appeared and slapped the wave of lightning to the side. Enough, Laxus, Itachi said as his Sharingan was spinning. If you keep going on with this any further, then you will have to deal with me, Itachi threatened. Laxus stared at Itachi and grunted and walked away. Well then, time to get these groceries to Mira, Itachi said and picked up a bag from the ground. See you guys later. Itachi waved and walked back to the guild. The guild hall. Itachi walked in the door and was met by Mira, Urza, Natsu, Gray, Lucy, and the others. I'm back, Itachi said. Welcome back. Did you get those groceries I asked for? Mira asked. Of course, Itachi said, holding up the bag. Then he suddenly began to feel a stabbing pain in his chest, a pain worse than any of the others before. Itachi dropped the bag as all the groceries fell to the floor. Itachi? Mira questioned, worried as Itachi fell to his knees, clenching his hand over his chest. Itachi. Mira instantly went to his side. Oni-chan. Urza joined Mira at his side. Soon everyone was surrounding Itachi. Cough cough cough. Itachi began coughing. Mira proceeded to place her hand on his shoulder. Itachi. What's wrong? Mira questioned when suddenly Itachi placed his hand over his mouth and coughed up blood. Itachi. Mira questioned as she began shaking. Itachi then fell to the floor unconscious in a small puddle of his own blood. Everyone became quiet as they were all looking at Itachi. Mira looked at Itachi as she began shaking and tears formed in her eyes. Itachi. Mira's voice echoed throughout the guild hall. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. The next episode will be out soon.